So we're in the rolling hills of Northwest Austin, centered in a small, quaint community called the Courtyard, just seconds away from the 360 bridge, that iconic feature that we all know as Austin, Texas. So this home is about 3,000 square feet. It was built in 1981. We're gonna be doing a full gut renovation of the interior and lots of exterior work as well, such as new roof and new siding and new gutters, bringing some new life, not just to the inside, but also to the outside of this project. We're really excited about the team we're working with on this one. It's not just two amazing, highly involved clients, but it's also the team over at Laura Burton Interiors, led by our project manager, Casey. They are rock stars. We're so excited to watch them bring some really cool style and functionality to this house. We're also working with FEI Engineering to take care of all of our structural needs as we make some big changes to the interior, such as removing walls and opening up the kitchen to the living space. Also bringing that sunken living space up to give a level, clean finish throughout the house. To do this, we had to increase the scope of what we were originally permitted on. So we're resubmitting for permits, and we're working with our team over at Clean Tag Permits. So at first glance, this project was super simple, super straightforward. The client contacted us before they bought the home to give them a rough estimate of what construction costs. We talked about some cosmetic changes, some paint, some new flooring, some new cabinetry. But since then, our client has dove into the reality of what this house could really bring and the vision that the interior design team over at Laura Burton and our architecture team can really bring to this specific property. So what was going to be a very simple and straightforward project got a little bit more complicated, especially on the permitting side. So the clients were trying to accomplish buying and renovating a home that would be their forever home, not just for them, but to welcome in their family, their grandchildren, and let everyone feel comfortable in the new space that they plan on living for the rest of their lives. To do that in this house, a lot of changes are going to have to be made. They've also wanted to bring a higher level of finishes to this house. In a home like this that's dated back to the 1980s, you often see some original finishes still lingering in the elements of those homes. So what we're doing is we're taking every original item out of this house and bringing in a very clean, modern, yet warm design to it to make this home truly feel brand new when our client moves in. For this project to be considered a success to not just us, but to our clients and our design team, the overall functionality of the house had to change. The multiple levels made it difficult for our clients to move around freely and to interact with the people that they entertain. So for us to know that we executed the perfect project here, this home is going to feel warm, welcoming, and flow exceptionally well for our client and all their friends and family. So the hardest part of accurately translating a client's goals into a finished product of the house is curating a budget that can live in both the builder's mind, the client's mind, and the designer's mind, yet still protects the client where we can act as their fiduciary. If the client decides they want to come into this home and spend a certain amount of money, and they've set that mark for us as a builder, it's our responsibility to help them get as close to that mark as possible. In a house like this, where all the finishes are being elevated, you take clients to spaces like Stratus, where we're looking at countertops, we're looking at upgraded cabinetry, we're looking at upgraded flooring. Clients get excited when you start putting pretty shiny things in their face. It's my job to often remind them, hey, this is over budget. We can go with this. However, you're straying away from your original budgetary goals. I think that as a builder is not only your responsibility, but it's one of the most challenging aspects to a really good finished product is not only the product you deliver, but the accuracy of what you're delivering for budgetary needs for that client to move into the house and not feel strapped immediately. So projects like this can take quick turns to a negative connotation when builders aren't careful with the project setup. What I mean is proper research and development of not only your contracted costs that are going into the home, but a well-baked design from your interior design team. And on top of that, we have very involved clients here. For us at Bijou Builds, that's not a bad thing. We love involved clients. Get involved, get your hands in there with us. It helps us get an accurate product that you really desire and that we know we're hitting every element of the house that you want finished the correct way. With that, When you have those elements all baked in at the beginning of a project, it makes the whole project run smoothly. As I'm looking for one word in my head that's not popping, as opposed to a project that where some of those details are left out from the get-go, it makes it a lot harder to stay on track. So there are a lot of things about this house that just weren't working when our client bought it. The inspection report was very lengthy. So we're gonna be addressing everything from new plumbing lines to new vent stacks, new roof penetrations, a lot of new structural support elements to bring this house to a much better bones for our client for the next 30 years. So some of the major issues that had to be addressed on this project right away are some of the exterior waterproofing issues. Over the last 40 years, this house has kind of been neglected in that regard, to where there were water penetrations behind the existing siding, through some of the fascia and soffit because our gutters weren't substantial enough. The roof had small leaks in it. So a lot of those waterproofing issues, which is one of the main areas we focus on right when we get our hands on a house, because you want to tighten up that envelope before you do beautiful work inside. So that's going to make a huge difference for our client, not just energy efficient wise, but peace of mind, right? When you put this much money into a house, when you buy a home like this in a city like this, you expect it to not just work, but to protect you from the elements. So something I noticed immediately when coming on site for the first time was some of the rotting fascia and soffit. So that area that's holding up your roof and connecting it to the siding portion of your house, when there's water damage or rot in those specific areas, you know that when you pull those walls back, you're gonna find more water damage inside those walls. The next thing was when we went inside, we noticed there was a lot of cracking issues in some of the drywall, especially the load-bearing walls, which immediately tells you that probably because of some of those moisture management issues from the outside coming into the inside, you started to see that interior frame shift a little bit. And when you see that frame shift, you immediately see some cracking in the drywall. Once some of those waterproofing and structural integrity issues were cleared up, the next step for this project was defining exactly what this project is to become. So our client's goals have shifted a little bit since we brought this client on. Originally, it was purchase the house, make it livable for them where they would like the house, but they weren't going to do every single item. Since then, working with the team over at Laura Burton, who throws incredible ideas on the interior design portion, and working with us, they've seen a bigger vision for this house, something that can truly make them happy from the day they move in, where they're not those items in their head lingering for the next 10, 15 years of, man, I wish I would have done that. They've opened up their sight to what this project really could be as a builder, and I know our interior design team are super proud of them as clients for doing it. And this house is going to be absolutely stunning. We're so excited that they've kind of dove in head first and are willing to do what this house truly needs to make them happy. So some of the items that people don't understand about the permitting process, especially when making large changes to a house like structural items, is your inspector, especially in the city of Austin when working with their permitting process, is every bit as much of your team as the interior designer, the structural engineer, the builder, and the client. Here, when we started the original plan, we were working what City of Austin calls an express permit. You can tie your trade permits like electrical and plumbing to them and still work within the walls, but really no changes can be made structurally. So we were planning on replacing windows, putting a new roof on, but we weren't talking about changing any of the structural integrity of inside the home originally, except for lifting the living room floor. When we brought the inspector from City of Austin out, he was incredible working with us. He gave us the green light for everything until we saw what was above that French door system. We found out there was no structural support ahead. So if we wanted to raise that floor and put in a larger expansive system that lets more light in from the back, we needed to change from the express permit to a full permit. When we did that, it triggered something with our client. They said, let's go for this full thing. Let's hit a home run on this house rather than just doing something that we like, right? So that's when we went back to the drawing board with our team at Laura Burton, who also serves as an architect as well. They drew new plans with an expansive floor plan with open walls and a much better flow to the house, being able to give our client everything they wanted. Now with that comes additional cost. Our client took that like an absolute champ, said, this is what we want, price it out, give us very straightforward details of what this process is going to look like. So our team went to work, the client's expectations have been reset, and now everyone is on the same page, marching in the same order to a really clean finished product on this house. So it's always risky for a builder or a designer or an architect to have the mentality of, we'll figure it out later, right? When details aren't hammered out early on in the construction process, there's often a 2 steps forward, 1 step back approach to building. So a project like this from this stage typically moves forward with a very clean expectation from the start of these are the working orders as the builder and our subcontractors. And typically you get a small reset once you get through the demo portion of this project. One of the things I'm most curious as the builder to learn once demo starts on this house is just how impactful the lack of moisture protection on this structure has been to the interior walls. What does the interior insulation look like? What does some of the framing lumber look like? Where are the sags happening? Where is the structural pieces of this home actually holding up for what we think is actually holding up in the certain areas to actually what is holding up? So overall, as a builder, it's important that you relay to your clients that final decisions for what this house is really going to turn into, budgetary-wise, scope-wise, and timeline-wise, can't really be nailed down to a T until those walls are open and every issue that can be uncovered is uncovered in the demo and the exploratory demo phase. Every one of the phases of construction is going to give us more information as we move forward. It's often like a book. Every page that you flip, the more information you get about the house and the more accurate a process it can be. So this right here is just a starting point. Once demo begins, we'll know exactly what this project is going to look like. All right, just in time for Luis to get here.